Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with
Hello,
the world
everyone.
for the
My name
purpose
is
of
Brad
helping
Walsh,
other women who might be on
Empowerography
similar
host,
journeys.
and
We
today
are
I've got
empowering
very
women
special
one
guest,
episode at a
Crystal
time.
Mitchell,
I'm
owner
your host, Brad Walsh.
Provocateur
So
by
kick back,
Crystal
grab
Mitchell,
one of your favorite
Boudoir
beverages, and
Photographer
enjoy the
based
stories.
out in Calgary, Alberta. Crystal, how are you doing today?
Good, Brad. Thanks so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I'm going to jump right in here. I want this to flow like a conversation, though, not so much a question-answer thing. So we'll just start out here, and we'll go with it. We'll go with the flow. So I want to know what got you excited about starting your own business.
Oh, years ago, I was in high-end retail for about 15 years, and I absolutely, I was tired of everyone telling me what to do in my job and making my schedules for me, and I'm always having to work around my own time. And this way I got to do exactly what I wanted, and I didn't have to answer to anybody.
Good enough reason. Now, was photography the first thing that popped into your head to have as a business, like work on your photography and own your own photography business, or did you have something else in mind?
No, actually, I'm actually a self-proclaimed born artist, if you will. So I do everything from paint to sculpt to, anything that kind of like inspires me in that moment. I've even worked with some light welding and stuff like that.
Oh.
My love for art actually is hugely extensive. Photography was more something that I started based on one photograph that I saw.
Could you tell us what that photograph was of, or who took the photograph, if you know or remember?
I don't remember exactly who took the photograph, but it was on one of my Facebook feeds years ago, and it was of this woman, and she was wearing a purple corset, and she had like this blindfold on her face, and she had really, like, it was just such a funny looking cheesy photo, if you will. And I was like, no, man, I'm going to do this she just looks so uncomfortable. Like it didn't look sexy. I was like, is this a carnival thing? Or like, what is, I originally actually thought, because, when you think of like circus, circus carnival people, they all wear like those corsets and like, like the bouffant type things and stuff. And so I originally thought that it was actually something to do with that.
Oh, interesting. So, I had no idea about your interest in welding and painting and sculpt. That's pretty incredible.
In high school, I had a 3.78 GPA, but that actually didn't stem a lot from anything other than academics, because all of my other classes I kept getting kicked out of.
So you were a troublesome student then.
I was widely troublesome, but the only thing is my art teacher, her name was Rona Arms. She was out of Kamloops, BC, and her she taught out of John Peterson Secondary School. And she was my art teacher, and she taught me how to sculpt, and she taught me how to throw clay on the wheel. And I ended up doing all 4 of my academic classes, and all 4 of my elective classes were all in art.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but I actually never even thought about pursuing it until later on in my life. So, yeah.
So your love for art was born from high school then, from this art teacher in high school?
Yeah, she was very much inspirational. I've looked for her for years. I can't find her. She was probably that one that, when you have that one teacher that you'll never forget, but she just sparked something in you. Yeah. That would have been her.
Excellent. Could you tell me about one particular defining moment that just spoke to you and said, and made you realize, okay, I have to be an entrepreneur? Was there any one defining moment that spoke to you?
Yep. I was working, I won't tell the name because I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble, but I was working for a high-end retailer.
Yep.
Very high-end retailer. I was actually one of the management staff. And one of the area management staff came in to wardrobe me.
Mm-hmm.
And in high-end retail, usually depending on your position, you get a certain amount of garments that you have to wear while you're working.
Right.
And so she came in, and I will never forget this moment. And I actually walked out of my job from this moment, and I never looked back at retail pretty much after that.
Mm-hmm.
She said to me, if you didn't mutilate yourself, we wouldn't have such a problem.
Mutilate yourself? Oh, I seem to have lost you there, Crystal.
Are you there?
Yeah, hey, there we go. You're back.
Mutilate
yourself?
Yeah. I had, at the time, I only had my back tattooed. I didn't have anything on my arms or anything, and or even my chest. I didn't have anything. And you could see like the tiniest little bit on my neck, in the back of my neck. And they had like this no tattoo policy and stuff, so she couldn't wardrobe me just based on probably an inch by half an inch peeking out of the back of my collar.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, her name was Rachel. I'll never forget it. And I looked at her and I was like, this is never happening again.
And you haven't looked back since. It's been entrepreneurship since.
Yeah, I don't ever want to have somebody tell me what I can and can't do with my body or with myself. I'm not hurting anybody, but also I don't want to be a lemming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the same as everybody else. And I think that's why I'm such a dickhead.
You're not a dickhead at all. Come on now. So how long ago was that, Crystal? How many years ago was that?
That was about we're going on about 10 years now.
10 years. So you've been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years then?
Well, I did take a little bit of time out, and I did have I did go to school. I'm actually professionally trained in photography. I didn't just pick up a camera and I just do my job.
All right. So in let's say 9 years then, in the past 9 years as an entrepreneur, what have you found is one of the most frustrating things, or even maybe not necessarily an entrepreneur, but as a photographer even, what is one of the most frustrating things for you?
There isn't one single thing that's most frustrating. It's actually like an accumulation of things that all play off of each other. Anything from paperwork, there is a copious amount of paperwork owning your own business, filing your taxes and stuff, like all of that stuff all falls under paperwork, which sucks and it's time consuming. Editing appropriately, because I do hard edits, and I say hard edits because I don't edit collectively one set all the same. I actually edit per image. So that takes a lot of time, and if I don't edit it properly, that one photo, I actually start all over again because I'm OCD. I'm not a hugely organized person, and owning your own business, you have to be organized. Cleaning your spaces, making sure that you've got all of your proper information to run your company, making sure that your damn sheets are washed. Like all that stuff all comes in together.
So how have you learned to be organized then? You said you're not normally a super organized person. With running your business, how have you learned to become organized, or what has helped you?
And I will say it again, if you can't do it well, find someone who can. I pay people to help me.
Well, there we go. Hey, why not? It's always good to have help, right?
Well, if I can't do it and I don't have time to do it, why not dedicate myself to doing things that I love, like taking images and turning them into art pieces versus, doing the paperwork and stuff. So I actually have a beautiful assistant that helps me make sure that even she can find my phone.
Excellent. Well, it's always good to have help, and hard help is good to find. Good help is hard to find. Sorry.
That was hard to find.
Had that all asked backwards there. How did you get started? Talk me through that whole process.
I'll never forget it. So I'd obviously decided like this was the art route that I wanted to take to make money and to enjoy my art and make women feel amazing. And obviously sculpting and clay slinging and stuff like that, obviously is something that I enjoy. It's more of a hobby. But so when I decided that I wanted to do this professionally, my mother-in-law used her air miles and bought me my first DSLR, and it was a Nikon D3100 with the kit lens, the 18-55.
Yeah.
And that's how I got started. And I started just, working with the camera. And then I upgraded to the D750. And that's when I started going to school and learning professionally how to use my jams.
Yeah.
And that's how I started.
Interesting. So why did you choose, why the niche or genre of boudoir photography? What spoke to you, or why did you gravitate towards that niche of photography or that genre of photography?
I think that stems back to, working in an female dominated industry, which is, fashion retail. I sat there and I watched women talk about how skinny or how fat they were or how ugly they were. Their hair didn't work that day, or they had to go home because they had the wrong color lipstick on, or throwing up in the back room. It was insane to watch some of this stuff go on. And some of these girls were so beautiful, but they actually had no self-esteem.
That's horrible.
It was eye-opening to watch. And I think that's why, one, I stopped giving a lot of those companies my money. Also, just these girls had no mindset and no empowerment to even think beyond the dress that they were wearing. It was surreal. It was like they were like robots.
Wow.
So when I decided that I was going to do photography, I was like, I don't want to deal with a bunch of people, and I don't want to deal with large, huge family reunions and all that whacked stuff. I want to literally change how the way women think about themselves, because it was, especially when somebody told me that I mutilated myself.
Yeah.
It made me second guess, if it's not normal, is it not right? And what is the definition of normal? Is my normal different from your normal? Well, of course it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want women to come to me and have an outstanding day, feel good about themselves, and know it's okay to not be magazine perfect, but I'm going to make you look like you should be in a magazine for a day. That's
inspiring. That's incredible. What could you quickly go through your process of a shoot, how the shoot day starts and how shoot day ends? Would you mind going through that for us?
Yeah, so my shoot day always starts at 10 and then ends at 2.
Okay.
So you're gonna have a 4-hour day with me. You're gonna get greeted with me, my assistant makeup artist.
What's your makeup artist name?
FA.
Okay.
Yeah, and she she makes sure that the space is all ready and fabulous when the clients show up. We'll go through her wardrobe pieces that she brings, and if they're not 100% suitable, then we'll pick something from the closet. And then she gets whisked off with some treats to her hair and makeup, and she's in there for a good hour and a half.
Treats? What kind of treats does she get?
We order edible arrangements, and we have a really good relationship with edible arrangements. So every day FA actually picks them up on her way to the studio and pours some champagne. But we do make sure beforehand that the client is, if she doesn't prefer an alcoholic beverage, we also have non-alcoholic beverages, juice, stuff like that, so that she can have something fancy to have while she's sitting there. I make myself pretty scarce during that time when she's getting pampered, only because I tend to be a little bit overbearing.
No, sorry to interrupt, Crystal, but you are a makeup artist as well, are you not?
I am, yes. I'm actually a published master makeup artist.
Wow. A woman who wears so many hats. That's incredible. Anyway, sorry, go on with your response. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I just choose not to do that because, like, I don't, I'll do their makeup if my makeup artist 100% can't make it or something like that. But I want them to have that experience of not being with me, because they always look at me and they attribute me with, that's the girl with the camera, and automatically they shift their focus.
Right.
So when I'm not around and they're just with FA, it's almost like relaxing for them, and they can get ready. And when they come out with full hair and makeup on, it's almost like they've transformed into like a different human being.
Right.
So that's when it's like, okay, it's go time. This gets to see me now. And it's almost like an unveiling where they're, they're more proud.
Right.
So, and then after that, then FA takes them up to the room and helps get them dressed, or if they need any help with some of their garments, because some of the stuff that we do shoot is a little bit more editorial. And so some of it's very delicate, and we need to make sure it's handled with care. And so then we start shooting her day.
Excellent. And how long do you typically shoot for?
Usually, so we'll start shooting at about 11:30. And we'll end about 1:30-ish.
Okay. So quite a bit of time with you. That's good. Excellent. Okay. So what are some challenges you faced early on in your business, and how did you overcome them?
Ooh, getting paid. Getting paid's a challenge. Getting clients a challenge. There's lots of challenges that come with, not even owning your own business, but photography in general, because it's almost like you have to gain trust in people so that they'll come to you, but also talk about you.
Right.
So that was really difficult. And I actually started everything out in my own business by just talking about female empowerment versus trying to get clients in first. And that's how I started. But I had to do free model calls. I talked to the women at the bus stop for dropping off my kids.
Anyone who would listen, any ear you could get, right?
I was the girl with the business cards, sticking them in pub stalls. You know how they have like the little signs on the back of the doors?
Yeah. Oh
man, I stuck my cards in so many spaces that probably should never have gone anywhere. I was that human. I was ruthless when it came to it, because I'm the type of person that I've always been commission based in any work that I've done. So whether it was in retail, I made commission. Whether it was in retail,
You've always had to hustle to get your pay.
Yeah, when I got out of school, I decided. Well, I think did we even talk about that after I got out of school? I actually have a degree in criminology.
What? Really?
So when I first got out of school, I wanted to. My mom was always like, "There's no money in art. There's no money in this. You can't do that. Get your head out of the clouds and and stop daydreaming and all this stuff." Because all I wanted to do was wear overalls and have paint everywhere and be like this sporadically weird human, which I am now. But back then I wasn't allowed.
But I find that's a common thing that parents and adults as we're growing up into adulthood, if we want to be artists, or there's no money in art, you can't make a living doing that, right?
So I didn't. I went to school. I went to university to be a criminologist. My mom is actually in the criminal sector. She works in the correction sector.
Okay.
High end. She doesn't work in the jails, but
right.
She does a lot of the other stuff. So I was always trying to appease and make other people happy. So I was like, yes, I'll go and do this. Man, that is the most boring job, draining, tiring, absolutely yawn-inspiring jobs ever. All that stuff. And I actually originally, before I had children, wanted to work in the child pornography unit.
Okay. So I
catch the bad guys.
Yep.
And as soon as I had kids, all of that started shifting, and it was depressing. And that's when I, got into retail instead. And then, and now we're back.
Wow. From the criminology world to retail, that's quite a quite a spin.
I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, Brad. It's fine.
That's okay. Lots of people don't. Lots of people still don't know what they want to do when they grow up.
No, I'm 36 now and just living my best life. So.
Well, there you go. As long as you're living your best life and you're happy doing what you're doing, that's all that matters, right? Because there are so many people out there stuck in miserable jobs and boring jobs that they hate, but they still continue to go to work every day and not think outside the box and figure out a way to do what makes them happy, which is kind of sad when you think about it.
You know, the biggest thing I've always said to people who ever want to start their own business or get into working for themselves is, one, it is tough as shit. Two, you're going to have more failures than triumphs.
Mm-hmm.
And then three, you're going to be piss poor for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and once you get over all of that BS, then you might start to actually grow, but it takes a lot of time. It takes thinking outside the box. It takes, work. I work anywhere between 16 and 20 hours a day when it's go time. Like, I literally am sleeping just to rest.
Right. So what did you do then? As you just said that you it takes a long time to start making money when you start your own business, and with photography in particular, what did you do to help make ends meet then when you were starting out?
Oh man, when I was in school, so obviously I had to pay for school.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe on professional accreditations and schooling to learn. YouTube is great for fun things, and and talking to other people that have got good tips is good things, but until you learn fundamentals,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing that really escalated things a lot more quickly for me.
Okay.
Was because as soon as I got out of school and I had good tools, then
Mm-hmm.
it was like I can just expand and kind of like critique and get my my brand working.
Mm-hmm.
But I lost the question.
What did you, that's okay.
I'm so inspired.
You're off on this inspirational tangent, right? What did you do to make ends meet when you were starting out? Because as you said, it takes a while to get things moving and to get money to start coming in when you're starting out your business. So what did you do in terms of other things to make ends meet, to get money in the door while you were building your business?
Well, I'm lucky enough too that I have my husband who obviously works full time, and
Mm-hmm.
he carried a lot of, the burden for a couple of years. And I had to pull money out of my savings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, lots of stuff like that to gather equipment and to really start getting things going. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of like really good planning and stuff. I'm very much a planner, and I like things regimented also.
Mm-hmm.
And I like things in control. So I had to make sure a lot of that stuff was done prior to me even making some of those leaps.
Because, I mean, let's be honest, photography is not a cheap business to get into. It's not a cheap hobby or business to get into. I mean, gear costs money, right?
Fuck. Oh man. It's so funny too, because I love explaining, and I'm very transparent even with my own clients and my followers and stuff about the cost of business, and the cost of when they come to me and they're like, oh that's a nice camera, and I'm like, honey, it's not the camera, it's the editing software, it's the computers, it's the person behind the camera, it's the hair and makeup, it's all the Wacom and all this stuff that comes into play that all costs money. It's not cheap.
Yeah, I think that's a huge misconception among people that aren't photographers. That, the camera, look at how much you got to spend a lot of money on a camera. And no, the camera is the tool. It's the person behind the camera and all the other things that make it all happen. It's not just the camera. Right. You could have a shitty camera and you can still produce good work. It just depends on the photographer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And also what you're using the work for too, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I with a plethora of different cameras depending on what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. And, how many cameras do you own, Crystal?
5.
5 cameras. And how many lenses do you own?
Oh God, I'd have to count. Let me take a moment. Don't ask me about the computers.
What's that?
I said, don't ask me about the computers.
Okay, we'll leave that one alone. If you could go back, what would you change about how you did things? If there's one thing you could change, what would you change about how you got your business to where you are now? Is there anything you would change?
You know, I've had a few setbacks in the last couple of years, as does anybody in any entrepreneur type suit. I listened to a lot of people, and I joined a lot of groups in the industry. They help a lot of people, but for myself, I found that to be a big setback, just on the basis that people are always either criticizing your work or asking you for something, or, you know, and it takes away from time working on your business.
Okay.
More than anything else. So there's that, but also, if I think that I would have been better off if I didn't see a whole bunch of people's work. Sometimes I think it can be inspiring, but also sometimes I think it can be disheartening or even draining, right? Because then you're not working on your own work. You're trying to figure out how somebody else did theirs. So
I think that also causes people to compare themselves to others as well, which can be very detrimental to someone as an artist when you're looking at other people's work and, oh man, my work's not that good, or, you know, it can be very detrimental, I think, as an artist to your self-confidence.
You know, and it's no secret that a lot of artists are very depressed because of those types of tapes that are going on in their heads, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that if I had removed myself from a lot of that sooner, I would be much more further in my career than I would be now. But that being said, also, other things that I could do would be to have more help at the beginning and invest more and help at the beginning versus trying to do it all myself. I think I would have been able to achieve more faster had I had just been like, you know what, I'm just going to pay to have somebody help me and, you know, get this off quicker. Also, yeah, just like small weird things like that, where if you're 100% in your own zone, then you wouldn't ever have to worry about going back on things.
Interesting. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, whether it be about life in general or business or photography, anything else for that matter, what would that advice be? If you go back to younger Crystal, say teenage Crystal or late teen Crystal, and give her some advice, one piece of advice, what would that be?
Do what you want first.
Do what you want first.
Be an adult, and as long as you ain't hurting nobody, do what you want first. Do what you love, because you know what? I watched, you know, my father-in-law. He's in his 80s now, and he's in a seniors complex. And my in-laws and my husband's family are workaholics, and not to say that I'm not a workaholic too in my own right.
Well, I know you are.
Yeah. I'm a little extra when it comes to work, but I love what I do, so it almost doesn't feel like I'm working anymore.
Right.
I almost get to just do what I love all the time.
Yeah.
But I watched him work at the same company, and he was there long before I met my husband, but for like almost 40 years or something. But he never experienced good relationships. He didn't have any friends or very many, and all he knew was how to drive a truck.
So is that because he was just so focused and busy? That's because he was so focused and busy working all the time that he didn't have time for relationships.
It wasn't working though. It was more like that's all he knew how to do.
Wow.
You know, and so now that he's sitting there, he literally has no hobbies. He has no stories. He has no nothing, because all he did was work himself to death driving a truck. You know, So my biggest thing is do what you want first. Don't make anybody else happy, but make yourself happy. I decided a long time ago now that I was going to follow my artistic dreams.
Uh-huh.
I haven't spoken to my mom in years because of the fact that I was never good enough. I was always weird I was always the black sheep, because I didn't want to have like a corporate job, and I didn't want to, do all this fun, weird, I'm just excited about life and color and shapes and unique compositions. And I look at a tree and I'm like, oh my God, that's kind of a unique look. And so yeah, make yourself happy first. Don't worry about anybody else. I don't make my husband happy first. I don't make my kids happy first. I make myself happy first. Because if I'm happy, I can go around and make everybody else happy.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. If you're happy, first of all, then in turn, it's like dominoes, right? You make everyone else happy because you're happy first. So that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, on those final words of wisdom from Crystal Mitchell, I'd just like to say thank you all for tuning in to Empowerography. My name is Brad Walsh, your host, and my amazing, wonderful guest today, Crystal Mitchell from Provocateur by Crystal Mitchell. Thank you very much for all your time today, for taking the time to chat with me, and we will chat soon. Hope you all enjoyed the show today, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.